Hello and welcome to my channel. Now there's a particular sort of armor. It's a it's a relatively rare armor, at least from what I've seen in terms of depictions, or just mainly depictions, because I haven't seen much of archaeological finds of it. But there's a certain type of armor. It's called Tegulated Armor. There we go. It's called Tegulated Armor. Now what this armor looks like, I'm gonna flash a couple of images on the screen right here, just so you can get the idea of what this armor, generally looks like. It's this weird looking sort of armor. It reminds me of scale armor, but then again, why not make it in shape of how scales are supposed to look like? Why make it look like roof tiles? But you know what? There's probably a reason why, and I'm gonna put it to this. You know how scale is shaped. There's generally a couple of shapes of how a scale can go. It can go like relatively pointed, relatively rounded, very rounded, but not just long and flat. Like a wide flat bottom. Because the other scales, the more typical shape of it is either a pointed, like how a scale is, or rounded, like how fish scales are. But now this one, Tegulated Armor, I would say it's a subcategory, or just its own little unique variant of scale armor. Because it's, from what I've seen, ignore the background noise. I got no proper equipment to do this sort of thing, but you just bear with me. But yeah, it's like a subset of scale armor. Because from what I've seen, when I look at the depictions and reproductions of it, it looks like it serves the same purpose. It's overlapping down. No, they overlap downwards, much like scale, but they're shaped and arranged like roof tiles. Now, what would be the advantage of it? One advantage I can see is that if someone were to do a rising cut against you, I can see that I can see the tegulated plates doing better to catch it or glance it off compared to scale. Because scales, the more conventional designs, it'll probably just ride up and get stuck either in between or not in between, depending on how the scale's arranged. See, that's the thing. That's the thing with scale armor. It all depends on how it's shaped and arranged, even though it can provide that advantage. Tegulated armor, much like scale armor, I'd say would pose the same weakness, which is an upward thrust, and one right upward thrust of either a spear, sword, a dagger, how it's attached. I'm not particularly sure. Maybe it's arranged how scale armor is arranged, like attached to like a backing of some sort. Scale is usually like a leather backing, like linen backing, just some sort of backing to hold it together. I'm guessing Tegulated is the same way. It's riveted somewhere on like a piece of fabric, and how it's arranged is arranged. Although, why wear that when you have other styles of armor? Because when I look at the depictions, the very limited depictions I see, it exists around, I would say, like, late 14th century? Yeah, late 14th century, yeah. And at that time, you have armor, you have plate armor starting to come on its own. You got breastplates, greaves, arm guards. They're not like the later stuff, but it's getting there. It's getting there. You also have you got cold plates, transitional brigandines, which is the transformation of a cold plate, and like the in between the 15th century brigandines and the earlier 14th century coat of plates. It's like the in between, like the chalkist styles of brigandine. There's a video by Shadaversary. He has a Chalkist Type 2, I think it's called. It's one of the Chalkist types. But that one's a transitional style of brigandine. But back on point. Why wear Tegulated armor? Well, I guess it would be less expensive than than something like than plate armor. Most definitely it'll be less expensive than plate armor. But then again, what are the benefits? Because you have all these plates. Why not just put them into a brigandine? Or maybe it's just one of those cases of experimentation. Just one of those. Screw it. I'm gonna come up with the idea. I'm gonna take these plates and just do whatever. We got scale. I got these. Mash them together. Boom. I have my own weird looking scale-like armor. Except it's roof tile-like armor. All the depictions, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I have not seen no archaeological evidence of this stuff. At least yet. Who knows? Maybe someday in the next couple of years we may find some freaking Tegulated armor in real life. Although I don't know about that for sure. But there is a couple of examples and depictions. And the other purpose of this video, the other purpose of this video is to, get the ball rolling. Get a conversation stuff on talking. Maybe we can learn something more about this kind of armor than we might learn of it originally. Because it's worn by guys, it's worn by knights, or at least man-at-arms, one or the two. And they have hound skull bassinets with the male aventail, or sometimes even they take the shape of the Tegulated plates and use it as the fold. There are some depictions of the helmet that are like that, as well as scale aventails. There's a couple there. Even Kingdom Come Deliverance, which drew a lot of its sources from those time periods, like early 15th century, late 14th century, and just took inspiration from there. And one of the helmets, it's called the arching bassinet. It has a scale fold. No, wrong one. Wrong one. My mistake. I'm running off of no script. Aventail. That's what I meant. Aventail. Jeez, that was a bit of a fuck up. My mistake, by the way. But yeah, some depictions have Tegulated aventails. Some have. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure one of the depictions has Tegulated frickin' greaves. Although it's either that or scales, one or two. But this video is mainly about Tegulated and kind of in a tangent to scale, because I would say they're kind of one and the same, just different shapes and variations of the main subtype of armor, same type of armor, which is overlapping armor. I wouldn't call it composite though, or doesn't fit that place, because scale is just a bunch of plates that are attached to the same backing. They use that as armor. Sometimes it's laced depending on the culture, but we're talking with this armor. With the Tegulated armor, we're talking 1400. No, not 1400. 14th century. Armor's come a long way. Surprisingly, just in the last few decades at that point. Bassinets, visors, like the hound skull visors, cola plates, slowly evolving the brigandines, plate harnesses coming into their own at the later 1400s. But the thing is, why use Tegulated armor? That's the thing I want to know. Why use Tegulated armor? What sort of advantages can it provide aside from cost? Because that Tegulated armor will most likely cost less overall than compared to full plate, or the equivalent to full plate in late 14th century. I think that's about it. I think that's all the points I got. Is a rare variant of a uncommon armor around the later medieval period. There we go. And the main question I want to propose to anyone in the future who will watch this video and choose to continue on this conversation: what advantages do you think, or what would be the reason someone would want to use this armor over something like brigandine, transitional brigandine, full 14th century, late 14th century full harness? What would be the reasons? And this is all just conjecture. We wouldn't really know for sure. Anyway, it's just all it's all guesswork and stuff. Which, it's, as long as the conversation starts. As long as the conversation starts, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. It's nice striking up a conversation about stuff like this. But yeah, this is the Manchurian General. I'm gonna do whatever. Feel free to subscribe and whatnot. Share, like, helps in the funny YouTube algorithm. But yeah, peace out.